Welcome to the Bob and Tam Show today. We got something special. We're going to the police department right here in Ormond Beach, and we're going to be talking to
the chief and Lieutenant Borsman.
That's right. And they're going to tell us a whole bunch of stuff to let you guys stay out of trouble. But one of the main topics we're going to be talking about is marijuana, and we're also going to be talking about guns. So stay tuned and get all that great information and learn how to stay out of trouble.
So I'm Chief Jesse Godfrey from the Ormond Beach Police Department, and this is Lieutenant John Borsner. He's our Special Operations Lieutenant from the Ormond Beach Police Department. Again, welcome back. I think this is our third video with the world famous Bob and Tam. And we appreciate this because it's our opportunity to get out to a certain segment of our community and talk to them about safety. And again, our number one goal is life safety. So a lot of the stuff we're saying, everybody's already heard it. But we just want to say it again to keep everybody safe, because we want you to visit our town and live in our town, obviously. I know a lot of locals watch your show as well, or your YouTube channel, follow your YouTube channel. And they get a lot out of it as well, and we get a lot of positive feedback. So what I'll do is I'll start out with the safety talk and some reminders and some new updates, and then I will turn it over to Lieutenant Borsner for some exact specifics as far as the top 10 citations or the leading citations and the traffic problems that we had last year. Overall, we had a great event last year, and I'm glad that everybody that did listen paid attention and stayed safe, so that's awesome. We do have some updates in our community. A1A is our main roadway on the beach side. It's also referred to as Atlantic Avenue, and the speed limit has now changed from 35 miles an hour down to 30. And the reason for that is our Florida Department of Transportation has installed several crosswalks, lighted crosswalks, throughout A1A. So when you're when you're coming back this year, you're going to see those. Slow down. It's for pedestrian safety. It's for your safety. They are called raised crosswalks, but they're not the type of raised where it would impact your driving, either in a car or a motorcycle. But it's a slight bump in the road. They also have these little reflectors that light up. So it's very visible, and it's long overdue. That'll segue into my next point, which is already this year we've lost one pedestrian on A1A. Unfortunately, it was dark out. The individual was crossing mid-block, not in a crosswalk, and she didn't make it when she was hit by a car. We just had another one on the west side of town, almost the same exact scenario. A person wearing dark clothing in a not very well-lit area was crossing a divided four-lane highway, and they made it to the median, and then when they tried to make it to the other side, they didn't make it, and they were hit by an individual. It's traumatic for a lot of people involved in when somebody dies on the roadway. Obviously, you have the victims, then you have the person involved in the crash that hit them, but then you also have the first responders that have to go there and clean it up and shut the road down. So we would just ask, again, like we do every year, is to ride safe, and just be very careful. You obviously are here for the right reason, to come down to Florida and have a good time with these bike rallies, and we clearly support them, but we also support safety. One of the things that I want to do is talk about, and I know you're going to go in depth with Lieutenant Borsner about some specific questions, but I just wanted to, and I'm an avid cyclist, and it's very interesting that a lot of the rules we follow as cyclists, so do motorcyclists. Every year we do this big ride for our fallen officers. It starts in Norfolk and it goes to DC. It's a 3-day ride. And I'm probably going to bring these same tips that I'm going to drop right now on this video to our cyclists as a safety briefing. And the first one is take a safety course. And I know that sounds crazy, but I will tell you from my personal experience, I rode a motorcycle for 10 years, starting out when I was 15 years old. I thought I knew how to ride, and then I went to a police motorcycle operator course and realized I didn't know anything about riding. All I knew how to do was twist the wick and hit the brakes. And that's all I knew how to do. When I went to the police motorcycle course or a safety course, they teach you clutch, brake, throttle, and so many other things that are so detrimental to being a safe rider. And the biggest thing about being a safe rider is you worry about your actions, but really you have to have your head on a swivel and be 360 all the time, every second you're on that bike, as far as what threats are out there, what can hurt you and your passenger. Because quite frankly, everyone is driving distracted nowadays. With all the technology we have in vehicles, And I even see motorcycles with cell phones posted up, you know, underneath the fairings. So everybody. I mean, it's not a knock on anybody, but it is what it is in our society. So take a safety course, check the weather before heading out, make sure you have the right protection, you know, goggles, helmet. Those are, to me, the helmet is probably the biggest thing. We see a lot of people hurt really bad in low-speed motorcycle crashes if they had just had a helmet on. It's sad, it's a reality. But I would say get a good helmet, make sure it's FDOT or DOT approved. Wear the right motorcycle gear, gloves, pants. It all protects from road rash, which I'm very familiar with as a cyclist. It's no fun waking up in the middle of the night when your sheets stick to your body that have road rash. And I know most motorcyclists out there have probably experienced the same thing. So yeah, if you have long pants on, long sleeve shirt, gloves, that'll help you out if you go down. Inspect your motorcycle before you ride. We just had a fatality in the first part of this year, and it was a mechanical failure. I believe it was a tire.
Rear tire.
A rear tire blew out, and unfortunately the motorcyclist had a crash and he didn't make it. And actually his riding partner said, man, I wish he wouldn't have had those cheap tires on his bike. So we actually lost a motorcyclist from bad equipment. So inspect your equipment. Obviously, obey the rules, use your signals and the speed limit. That's a no-brainer. Be visible. You got to know during Bike Week, a lot of people wear the black T-shirts because that's what we do. That's what we do during these things. And I know sometimes it's dark stretches of road. Be visible. And the next county up, Flagler County, just had a fatal motorcycle crash where a motorcyclist was minding his own business. He was coming down the highway, approaching another vehicle, and don't assume that other drivers know your speed. And I know you guys get cut off. When I say you guys, motorcyclists get cut off all the time because people underestimate how fast you're going because they really can't tell. If you're coming at them head on, especially at night with a headlight, you could be doing 20, you could be doing 80. They don't know. And I know you guys already know you drive defensively, you drive with your head on a swivel, but don't assume that oncoming drivers or even drivers are going to pass you know your speed, because a lot of times they underestimate your speed and they cut you off, and we see it quite often. Obviously, be observant and watch for road hazards. And you would ask, well, what's a road hazard, Chief? Really, for us, it's anything that falls down on the road or anything that could be in the road, like animals. And unfortunately, I think it was either last year or 2 years ago, a deer took out one of our motorcyclists, and I don't think she passed away, but she was hurt pretty bad. So it can happen. We got a lot of construction in the area. You'll see the orange barrels, the cones. So just take that into consideration. Stay at a safe distance from each other. One of our major crashes we had on A1A was two guys were riding next to each other and they started hitting saddlebags. It kind of freaked one of them out. So he went squirrely and they both went down. Carry a first aid kit if you have it. And then the last one is, again, what we started out with is take a safety course. There's plenty of them out there. They're not very expensive. And you'd be surprised how much you learn, how much you think you know, until you go to one of those courses and it's like a light bulb goes like, wow, I didn't even realize I was doing that, or I didn't even know that existed. So it's pretty good. And again, I just want to wish everybody a great bike week this year. I don't know what the weather's going to be like, but normally we have at least 1 week in the rain and 1 week in the sun. Sometimes we have the whole week. But again, I'm just praying that everybody stays safe. I'm appreciative of the visitors and our residents that live here. I would do one final shout out. It would be, if you're riding in our community, I know you do it, but please try to be respectful of the sounds and the noises. We do have some complaints about loud motorcycles, but I will tell you, we already know that loud pipes save lives. But if you can, just try to keep that in mind, especially after hours. It's not, during the day it is what it is, but after hours, if you could kind of tone it down a little bit. But other than that, thank you for you guys always coming here. We appreciate you, Bob and Tam. We appreciate the opportunity to get out here and talk. We have other local law enforcement partners in the area. We have Sheriff Chitwood, we have Chief Young in Daytona Beach. We have the sheriff who runs the whole county. I want to give them a shout out because we work well with them. They keep everybody safe. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant John Borsner. So thank you, sir. And thank you, folks, again. And as I said, I have to go. But anyway, thank you so much.
Again, I'm Lieutenant John Borsner from the Ormond Beach Police Department over the Special Operations. We had a pretty successful bike week last year in 2023. We're hoping to get very similar results this year. In our area, we had 0 fatal crashes and very little crashes that were considered serious bodily injury. I think part of that is people were being respectful while they were here, obeying by the rules for the most part, and enjoying themselves. During last year's bike week, Our agency wrote 810 total written warnings and traffic citations, which is a pretty substantial number. Of those, 615 of them came strictly from our 4-man motorcycle unit, who is out every single day of Bike Week. They don't get a break, no days off. They're out here to make sure everybody's having a good time, but also obeying the laws. 444 traffic stops were conducted during that time frame, which is a huge number. Probably chances are that you couldn't have driven through the city at any point in time and not seen blue lights on the side of the road, which also helps kind of keep traffic in check and slow down. We only investigated 39 crashes, which may sound like a lot, but a lot of those crashes are very minor parking lot style bumps and stuff like that. Only 4 of those crashes were considered major crashes. And again, of those, no fatalities, no likelihood of death, which is, we count that as a win for Bike Week. We didn't have any problems, any unruly crowds, any problems with public nudity that I see in some of these other areas that have events similar to this. So we are appreciative to the respect that was given to our community, and everybody seemed to have a good time. Most of the encounters that we had out there, everybody was friendly, happy, which is nice to see. The chief mentioned already, the pedestrians are kind of our problem that's sparking up this year. We've already had 2 unfortunately pass. And again, they were crossing not in a crosswalk at night in a dark area, wearing dark clothing, makes them very difficult to see. So we just asked, if you are a pedestrian in the area, I know we have a lot of events up on North US 1, across the street has to be done to go to different bars and different venues. There is a major crosswalk that's going to be set up there, manned by the sheriff's office. They will stop traffic both ways and make sure everybody gets across safely. That being said, every year we have people crossing not at that crosswalk, and it's not, it's just not safe. It's a high-speed area of traffic. The speed limit's 55 in that area. It does get congested from time to time. You have motorcycles passing on the right, splitting lanes. So if traffic is stopped and you think it's safe to cross, there could be a motorcycle coming between cars or on the opposite side passing on the shoulder on the right, and it's still can ultimately end up getting you hurt. Ask that you remain vigilant and be careful when crossing. Please use a crosswalk. If it's at night, please use a well-lit area to cross. Again, that crosswalk will be manned day and night, and it's lit up very well at night. Kind of mentioned in that, some of our main traffic violations that we have are motorcycles passing on the right or passing on the shoulder. Traffic can get backed up for quite a ways in some of our hot spots. And some impatient operators will get on the right-hand side and they'll start passing traffic. And they don't generally do it at, a mile an hour. They're flying down there, and somebody will inevitably make a right turn into a parking lot, and then we'll have a crash that can hurt people pretty bad. Or a pedestrian will be crossing through, not expecting there to be somebody coming up on that side. They'll also lane split. I know in some states lane splitting is allowed. It is not allowed in Florida. It's a moving traffic offense. It's a ticketable offense. And again, it's dangerous. You have so much congested traffic, so many people that may not know that there's a motorcycle there because it's not allowed here, so they're not anticipating that, and they'll change lanes or make a turn and ultimately ends up in a crash. Speeding is another one of our main violations. A lot of times, I know it's probably fun to come off of a traffic light and just accelerate on your motorcycle really hard, and they may not be accelerating up to a high speed and then holding it, but we do see that a lot. They'll turn a corner, they'll hammer down 2 or 3 gears, and they'll get going much faster than the speed limit, and then they kind of slow it down. Problem is, in that time frame that they're under heavy acceleration or speeding, things can happen, and that's what we try to avoid. We want everybody to come down here. We want everybody to have a great time. We want everybody to go home too at the end of it. There's nothing like sending your loved one on a trip and then never seeing them again. So please be careful. Please be safe. We're not out here to ruin anybody's trip. I can say I know that number of 810 citations and warnings sounds like a lot, but that's combined citations and warning. I can assure you probably half, if not more, were just warnings. Kind of kindness be a sign of weakness. These guys will be out here and they will enforce speeding, passing on the right, things like that. There's no warnings for that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that really gets people hurt. Some of our other less serious reasons for traffic stops are eye protection. You have to have eye protection on day and night. So if you don't have any sunglasses, normally cover it during the day, but at nighttime, if you're going to be riding at night, make sure you have a helmet that's either got a visor that comes down or you have some clear glasses. Also, Florida is a no helmet state. You're not required to wear a helmet if you're over 21 years old. However, you are required to have a minimum $10,000 bodily injury coverage. And make sure you have some sort of proof of that. It could be through your motorcycle insurance company or something like that, you'll have a card that'll say bodily injury. That's perfectly acceptable. But if you don't have that, then you're technically supposed to wear a helmet. Another big thing we see, and I'm just not quite sure why, is a lot of motorcycle operators don't have a motorcycle endorsement on their driver's license. We get that quite a bit. Then that's not obviously a reason that we would pull someone over, because we don't know, but it stems from those eyewear traffic stops or those speeding traffic stops upon a DL check. And a lot of these guys that don't have motorcycle endorsements have been riding motorcycles for, virtually their whole life. So it's just a matter of going down and getting it put on their driver's license. They may have to take a test at their local DMV, but every state requires a motorcycle endorsement, as do we. So if you're out of state, you're still required to have one, and that is a criminal offense. It's actually an arrestable offense, misdemeanor charge, and you can go to jail. You can tow your motorcycle. It's just a whole bad day that we don't need to have. So please make sure you have your motorcycle endorsement, or at least your some states have a learner's permit for it, temporary one. Please at least make sure you have that, so we can avoid any kind of issues like that. Again, we want everybody to come here and have a good time, and just be respectful, as you would want visitors to be respectful to your community when you come. If you're out drinking and having a good time at the local establishments, please leave your firearms at home, or in your where you're staying, your hotel. Please make sure they're secured safely somewhere there. If you're out drinking, it's against the law to have a firearm and consume alcohol in a bar in the state of Florida. So we want you to be safe, have your protection, but please, if you're going to be out doing activities like that, just leave it back at where you're staying for the day. So marijuana is still illegal in Florida. There's medical. You can have a medical marijuana card. I think it's like 0.3 THC level marijuana that comes from a dispensary. It has to be in its original dispensary packaging and container. Using it or smoking it in a vehicle, even if it is for medical reasons, it's still against the law. And any other marijuana is still against the law in Florida, and we are still actively making arrests for possession of marijuana. So it's hard for us right now. We have some test kits coming in that will test the level of THC to see what it is. But again, if you have medical marijuana in a sandwich bag, it's illegal. It has to be in its original container, and you have to have your medical card with you. So if it's legal in the state you're coming from, it's still not legal down here. Doesn't work. We don't honor that state's laws technically. Also, back to your firearms. In the state of Florida, you do not need a concealed weapons permit to carry a concealed firearm. However, that being said, the rules of a concealed firearms permit still apply to being able to carry it. No convicted felons, the same rules that would apply if you were to have a concealed weapons permit still apply to carrying one concealed. We also honor, I think it's 35 other states' concealed weapons permits. So if you have one, majority of the other states, state of Florida will honor that as well. But again, not in an area serving mostly alcohol. And then we'll end with one final thing that we generally see every year. There's a handful of people that come down here and do it. Is kind of stunt riding, burnouts at traffic lights, just riding crazy, riding wheelies around town. Again, your skill in riding those is much appreciated. However, there's a time and place, and down here on our public roadways is not the time nor the place. A wheelie ticket is $1,166 for your first offense. Your second one is double. Your third one, you go to jail, and we take your motorcycle. Please, like I said many times, just come down here and enjoy yourself. Ride respectively. No burnouts at the traffic lights. It's very easy for somebody to lose control of a motorcycle while trying to do a burnout, trying to show off, trying to get everybody's attention. You're going to get attention, but it's not going to be from the people that you want to get attention from. And there's no warnings for that kind of stuff. We will arrest you. We will take you to jail if need be. We'll take your motorcycle. It will not be a fun trip. So we're not out here to do that. We don't want to do that. But again, we will do that to keep our visitors, our citizens safe. There's zero tolerance for that here. So please keep that in. Again, it's very neat to watch. It's very cool. Your skill is great. But keep it on an off-road designated area for that kind of stuff. And with that being said, I hope everybody has a great time down here. We look forward to meeting a lot of new people out there, and not every contact is negative. So don't be afraid to say hi to us or anything like that. We're out here just kind of keeping the peace. Thank you.
We want to thank
Chief Godfrey and Lieutenant Borsner.
for all the help that they gave us here. Great information they gave us this year. It was a little long, but hey, all that great stuff is great information to keep you out of trouble.
And to help you stay safe.
That's right. And hey, you don't want that $1,186 ticket for doing a wheelie, do you? You know, there's a lot of places here that you can do it. I think over at the fairgrounds, over there at the flea market, I think they've got an area set up.
Designated area.
Definitely check on it. We're not promising that that's there, but safer area, because if you did lose control, somebody could really get hurt. Somebody's got a loud beeping horn.
Yep, they're backing up. The other thing they didn't really talk about that we forgot to mention, we talked about it before we started, was on those sunny days, people are driving like crazy because you're out, you're down here, you're riding, don't have a care in the world. So be careful on those sunny days, and on rainy days, you're a little more cautious so you don't go out at all. So they have more accidents on sunny days than rainy days, so keep that in mind.
That's right. So be very careful. Remember, there's a lot of cars out here. A lot of cars. The cars are going to overpower us here in Daytona during Bike Week. So take that with care. Be very cautious. You know, if you are driving a car or a truck or anything like that, even a motorcycle, be very cautious down here, because all these streets, there's people darting across. Like I say, this year they've already had 2 people killed in a crosswalk down on the A1A. So it's very dangerous to be out there, and and if you're out there, don't be cutting across the streets, jaywalking and things like that. Be in the crosswalk.
Splitting lanes.
Both those two were not in the crosswalk when they got hit.
And it was dark areas. Go to a well-lit crosswalk area.
And they had dark clothes on. So dark clothes, no crosswalk, and it was bad. And then you don't want to be, just like what the chief was saying there, you don't want to be that person that hit that person, that you killed somebody while you were here on vacation.
Yeah.
So at that, let's have a great Daytona Bike Week.
That's right. So we can't wait to see you guys. If you're coming down, be safe on your travels down here. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Share us with your family and friends. Give us a big thumbs up. Ring that bell for notifications. And we'll see you on the next video.
There you go.